Hello and welcome to Shortcut Up CNC. This episode is tip number 4, object properties, both in models and JPEG images and some other conditions involved also. Here you notice the model changes from a visual object to disappearing object, or opaque as I would like to call it. Same thing with the JPEG. If I select it, it brings it fully in view. If I unselect it, it's no longer in full view. Now this may be good for you in doing tracings and other, like adding vectors to the model. It's hard to see the model here, but if you highlight it and click on it, it brings it into a full visual model. But these conditions can make it hard, especially if I wanted to do a trace on this particular object right here. It goes into the bitmap fading, and it's not a full visual object. So if I close this and I take and I go to the object properties and bring it into full view before I go to tracing, now it fades to some degree because of the bitmap fading here. But if I bring it back into full view, no matter how many times you click on it and everything, it's going to stay as a full object. See, no matter whether I unclick or highlight it, it stays in full view. And that's due to the object properties that I have set on it. You can do the same thing with models. Now, the model will stay in this condition once you set the object properties on it to a full visual model. You will no longer be able to select and unselect it like this. Once I change the object properties on the particular model to full view, when I click out here, it no longer changes to a disappearing or non-model view. It'll always stay like this until I reset the object properties back on it. To around 50%. Now it will switch back and forth. Now this comes in handy for doing I delete the vectors I've already got there. For highlighting, if I try to do the vectors as it is now, it will add the vectors, but please select the component you wish to create the boundaries from. Okay, so I have to select the model and then create the vectors. It creates all the vectors but this one item right here, which can be easily solved by creating a rectangle within that area there. And now we have all the vectors for the model. So anyway, with the model, you got to remember when you're adding vectors to it, the vectors will be grouped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the model, and then I'm going to highlight everything else. Now I'm going to take and hold the Shift key down, select the model, and then delete all the vectors. Now we're going to reselect the model, and we're going to the Modeling tab, and we're going to add vectors to it. Now I'm going to highlight those vectors, and you'll see that all vectors are grouped together. you can't select an individual vector. So in order to do that, we go to the Drawing tab, and as long as they're all highlighted, you can select the Ungroup icon, and it'll ungroup each one of these vectors. That way you can set up toolpaths for any one of these vectors involved for the model. So there you have it, folks. Object properties, vectors added to the model, and of course the toolpaths were already set up from the start, and you got to have the vectors broken from the grouping in order to create your individual toolpaths. So anyway, have a good day, folks, and thank you for watching Shark Cut Up CNC.